بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم وفقنا وسائر المشتغلين للعلم والعمل الصالح بحق محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم والعن عدوهم. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, He created the duration of every life and made them short or long. He expedited some and postponed others and connected their causes with the death. قال الإمام علي عليه السلام خلق الآجال فأطالها وقصرها وقدمها وأخرها ووصل بالموت أسبابها. So the result of our life in this universe is what? Is the death. Whatever you do, whatever you collect, whatever you have, as a result you are going to die. So think of this moment, what you are going to take with you to the grave. What shall you take with you to the grave? Are you going to take the good things which help you, which make you happy in your grave, just like a white, handsome and nice smell one to be with you in your grave, or to have a black dog is going to bite you and to harm you each second in your grave? This is your choice. With Islamic laws, and I'd like to remind me with the time, maybe I forget the time. Issue number 402, in the case of excessive bleeding. Now, before we are going to begin with this lecture, we have the little istihada, and we have medium istihada or middle istihada, and what? Excessive istihada. Each one has its signs. We know how it is. Why we differentiate between each level of istihada? Because each one, it has its own what? Its own hukum. Not they are the same. Not only that, but if the mukallafa, she did the rules or the ahkam of a little istihada with the excessive istihada, and she has actually what? She has excessive istihada, her act is what? Is void. Is void. For that we have to know the cases. So in the case of excessive istihada bleeding, the woman should change as an obligatory. This is number one. The woman should change as an obligatory precaution the cotton or pad tied to her private parts to make it tahir with water. That's number one. It is also necessary that she should do one ghusl. It is necessary. It is necessary. She should do what? One ghusl for Fajr prayer. Why for Fajr prayer? If the istihada comes to her in noon prayer, I mean for Fajr prayer, if the middle istihada happened before Fajr prayer. So she has to perform what? She has to perform one ghusl. Okay? So if the istihada comes when? Or it happens when? Before the afternoon prayers, she has to make ghusl before the afternoon prayers. And if the middle istihada happened before what? Before the Maghrib or Isha prayers, she has to perform one ghusl before Isha prayers. You understand this, inshallah? So that she should do one ghusl for Fajr prayer, one for Dhuhr, and sorry, this is with excessive istihada, I'm sorry. I explain it with middle istihada. With excessive istihada, she has to make ghusl for each salah. She has to make ghusl for each salah. One ghusl before Fajr prayer, one ghusl for noon prayer, one ghusl for Dhuhr prayer, one ghusl for Asr prayer, one ghusl for Maghrib prayer, one ghusl for Isha prayer. If she separates between Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha. But if she doesn't separate between praying Maghrib and Isha, and she doesn't separate between Dhuhr and Asr, she needs only one ghusl before Dhuhr and Asr and another ghusl before Maghrib and Isha. So that she do one ghusl for Fajr prayer, one for Dhuhr and Asr prayers, and once again, as I told you, one for Dhuhr and Asr, when she what? When she gathers the prayers together at the same time, just like us. But if she delay praying Asr, so the ghusl for Dhuhr prayer is not what? Is not enough, is not suffice. Asr prayers, and once again for Maghrib and Isha prayers. She should offer Asr prayer immediately after Dhuhr prayer. Immediately, look. And if she allows any lapse of time, just like she answers the phone, she perform the dinner or the lunch for her family. This is lapse time. So she has to perform what? Another ghusl. She always, she allows any, after Dhuhr prayer, and if she allows any lapse of time between them, she should do ghusl again for Asr prayer. Similarly, if she keeps any time gap between Maghrib and Isha prayers, what she has to do? She has to perform what? Another ghusl for what? For Isha prayer. Very good, excellent. She should do ghusl again for Isha prayer. All these rules that we're talking about, that we talked about, the little istihada, medium istihada, and excessive istihada, apply when bleeding is so excessive. All these rules about the excessive istihada, she should do ghusl again. All these rules apply when bleeding is so excessive that it continues soiling the pad, etc. Definitely with excessive istihada there is what? There is a detail. You have to study in Arabic. In excessive istihada, there is a detail. You have to study it in Arabic. It is very important for you. But if it takes longer to soil the cotton or pad, and a woman has enough time to pray one or more salah in between, then as per obligatory precaution, she would change the pad or wash it to make it tahir, and then do ghusl only when the cloth covering the pad or cotton is fully soaked. For example, if a woman praying Salat al-Dhuhr, Salat of Dhuhr, finds out that the cloth is fully soaked again before the prayer of Asr, she would do ghusl. She would do يسمونه بالعربي إذا كان الدم صبيبا. إذا كان الدم صبيبا. هذه المصطلحات ضرورية تأخذوها. So she would do ghusl for Asr prayer. That means if the blood is so excessive, it is too much, so she has to pray another she has to perform another ghusl for what? For Asr. And if she finds that the flow of blood is slow enough to allow 2 or more prayers to be offered before the cotton or cloth is totally soiled with blood, there will be no need for ghusl before the ensuing prayers. So it depends on what? It depends on the quantity of blood. If the quantity of blood is too much, that we call it in Arabic الدم صبيبان, so she has to perform ghusl for each salah, even if she is not separating between dhuhr and asr, if there is no lapse time between dhuhr and asr. Okay, but if the blood, that's not so much, so she can do what? She can perform her salah with one ghusl. For example, if she finds that there is enough time to offer even Maghrib and Isha prayers before the cloth is fully soaked, that means الدم ليس صبيبا, she would pray Maghrib and Isha without ghusl in every case. The ghusl in excessive istihada does not require wudu after it. This is very important. The ghusl of excessive istihada doesn't require what? Doesn't require wudu after it. If you like to perform wudu, it should be when? Before the ghusl. If you like. But if you have the excessive istihada, ghusl is enough. You cannot perform wudu after ghusl. لا، مو قضية يبطل الغسل. هنا راح يصير تشريع مقابل النص. راح يصير تشريع، احنا ما عندنا تشريع، احنا تشريع فقط حكم الكثيرة انه غسل. واحدة تقول اني اريد اتوضا، ما عندنا مشكلة، توضي ولكن قبل المنو؟ قبل الغسل، بلي. أحسنت. ها؟ أي الوضوء قبل الغسل. لا please, some people were, this is something different. They said that on the tap of the water there is a new water, not ablution water. So if I turn off the tap of the water, the water is not for ablution. Yes. We're talking about the excessive istihada. Yes, medium istihada, what about it? When the middle istihada happened and you want to pray, you have to perform what? Ghusl. One ghusl. Because one ghusl for the whole day. One ghusl for the whole day. Okay? Yes. Yeah, with the medium istihada, one ghusl for a whole day and wudu for each salah. A little istihada, only wudu for each salah. Excessive istihada, ghusl for each salah. And you have to differentiate between the blood. If it is so excessive, so you have to perform what? Wudu for each salah. If it is not, but it is excessive istihada, one ghusl for 2 continued prayers together. Huh? Okay? Yes. Issue number 403. If istihada blood is seen before the time of prayer, has set in, that she saw the blood of istihada before the time of salah is set in, and the woman has not performed wudu or ghusl for that bleeding. Why he said wudu or ghusl for that bleeding? Can anybody tell me? My question is that if istihada blood is seen right here, if istihada blood is seen before the time for prayer has set in, and the woman has not performed wudu or ghusl for that bleeding, why he said wudu or ghusl?
We have three types of...
Great, good. Because istihada we have 3 levels of istihada, and each one it has its own way of purification. Some of them needs only ablution, others needs only ghusl, others needs 1 ghusl a day and ablution for each salah. She should perform wudu or ghusl at the time of prayer, even though she may not be mustahada at that time. Which time? The time of prayer. The time of prayer. So she has to do what? She has to do her obligatory duty. She has to do her obligatory duty. Yes. So look, between the 2 salat, just like Dhuhr and Asr, Maghrib and Isha, when you recite supplication, when you recite the praise to Tasbihat al-Zahra Salamullahi alayha, this is not, you are not making lapse time between the 2 salah. But, as I told you, when you go and open the door for somebody, when you talk with your children, when you give something to your husband, when you do something irrelevant to the salah, this is what? This is lapse time. هذا الرجحها علما للعرف. الرجحها للعرف. So pay attention. It's very important. The question? Okay, so she should perform wudu or ghusl at the time of a prayer, even though she may not be mustahada at that time. Issue number 404. A woman whose istihada has medium should first do ghusl and then wudu as per obligatory precaution. But if a woman with excessive istihada wishes to do wudu, she should do so before the ghusl as a recommended precaution. I think I explained that before. I did explain it in the foregoing issue. Okay? She cannot perform wudu after the ghusl. She cannot perform wudu after ghusl. If she wishes to perform wudu, she has to perform the wudu before what? Before ghusl. Issue number 405. When a woman who had little istihada finds out after Fajr prayer that definitely, what is the hukum of little istihada? She has to change or wash the pad. She has to change the blood around her private parts. She had to perform ablution for the salah. Little only wudu. I said only wudu, but the other things, changing the bath or washing the bath, washing the private part, they are necessary for all the kinds of istihada. Okay? So, when a woman had little istihada finds out after Fajr prayer that her istihada has developed into medium one, she will have to do ghusl for Dhuhr and Asr. She has to do ghusl for Dhuhr and Asr prayers. And if that change occurs after Dhuhr and Asr, that means from little istihada to excessive istihada, it happens when after Dhuhr and Asr prayers, then she will do a ghusl for Maghrib and Isha prayers. Maghrib and Isha prayers. Yes, one ghusl. Because instead of wudu, she has to do what? She has to do ghusl. Yes. One wudu for each salah, even for recommended salah, nafila, for example. But if she is going to gather them together, she can use one wudu. According to this, one wudu is enough. One wudu is for each salah. We will talk about this later, inshallah. Issue number 406. If a woman finds out Fajr prayer that her little or medium istihada had developed into an excessive one and remained in that state, that her istihada becomes what? Excessive one, and remained on excessive istihada, then she should follow the directives given in rule number 402 in respect of Dhuhr. She has to follow the rule on 402. In respect of Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Isha prayers. That means one ghusl for the two salahs if she is going to perform them at the same time. And if she separates between them, she has to give ghusl for each one. Not only that, but also she has to notice the quantity of the blood, if it is sabib or not. You didn't understand what do I mean by sabib. Look, we have the sign of excessive istihada. What is the sign of excessive istihada? That the blood soak the cotton and it stain what? It stain the cloth. It goes out from the cotton to the cloth. Tamam? Alright? This is the sign of excessive istihada. This is the sign of excessive istihada. The other thing, she has more than this. She has more than this. That means the blood is bleeding. يعني الدم مو فقط بالقطنة وخذا، لا أكثر من هذا يسمونه الصبيب. So in this case she has to perform ghusl for each salah, even if she doesn't gather the two salah together. You got this point? You understand it? Okay. Issue number 4. Yes, you have a question? 407. That will come. Do we have time? Let me see. Maybe for 3 minutes. Yes, I have 4 minutes. Exercise 407. As explained in Rule 402, a woman in excessive istihada must ensure that there is no time gap between ghusl and the prayer. Look, there is no gap time between ghusl and prayer, even for wudu. She should immediately perform her ghusl and go directly to what? To perform her salah. Therefore, if such a gap occurs because of doing ghusl earlier, then before the time set of the salah, then that ghusl will be void. So what she has to do? She has to repeat the ghusl. مشكلة شوف الأحكام. How much these ahkam are so accurate and exactly. Then that ghusl will be void and the woman will have to do ghusl again. This rule applies to those also who are in medium istihada. Those who are done in medium istihada. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآله